Jimmy Butler trade rumors are swirling after a contentious offseason in Miami, and I think that San Antonio could be the perfect spot for Jimmy Buckets to play the rest of his career.
I'm going to hoop, we're going to win, and then we'll take it from there.
How's it going today? My name is Jesse McNamara, and welcome to Point of View. Before we get into it today, I just want to say we always appreciate your feedback and look forward to reading your comments like the one we've got here. Also, be sure to stay tuned to the end of this episode to see if you can guess today's trivia question down below. To today's topic, could a potential big three of Jimmy Butler, Victor Wembanyama, and Chris Paul be the best trio in the Alamo City since Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili? For a number of reasons, they'd be one of the most feared teams in the league. But how did we even get to this possibility? Butler has loved his time in Miami, but recently, things have started to go south between him and the Heat. Butler hasn't played more than 64 games since his first season with the team in 2019, and he missed their first-round matchup last postseason against the Boston Celtics. In general manager Pat Riley's exit interview, he was asked about what he would do when Butler became extension eligible on July 7th. Here's what the Hall of Famer had to say.
We have not made a decision on it. I think you can make too much out of this. He's still got 2 years left on a contract. Theoretically, he's got a player op. But that's something that we have to give some real thought to based on a lot of factors. I don't want to go through the litany of factors right now because they all blow up into different hypotheticals. But yeah, that's a big decision on our part to commit, that kind of those kinds of resources unless you have somebody who's really going to be there, available every single night. That's the truth.
You could definitely sense the shade there when he says it's hard to commit to someone who isn't always available. And with Butler entering the final year of his contract, the trade rumors have predictably increased. Now, he does have a player option after the 2024-25 season, but it's more likely he'd prefer to sign an extension, and he has two options there. He can sign a one-year, $58.6 million extension on top of the $48.8 million he's owed this season, or he can add 2 years worth up to $112.9 million. Both options eliminate the player option and ensure his future with whoever he's playing for. If that team isn't the Heat, which seems to be increasingly likely whether that's during the season or after, I think the Spurs have both the pieces to get the deal done and the reasons to want a 35-year-old star on the final leg of his career. First comes the logistics of the deal. Pat Riley shares a sentiment that many GMs do, that this team won't rebuild, they will only retool. Really, that's all just semantics, but in any case, the Heat are going to want young pieces who can hopefully mesh with Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero while still making a playoff push year in and year out. The Spurs can help with that by sending Keldon Johnson as a primary piece. He's still just 24 years old and is entering the second year of a 4-year deal. Then you can fill out the rest of the outgoing salary with Zach Collins and either Jeremy Sochan or Malachi Branham. Chances are the Heat would want Sochan, but those players alone won't get a deal done. The Spurs would have to sweeten the pot with some of their draft picks, of which they have many. They have multiple first-rounders in each of the next 4 drafts, so they could sound out a handful and still have enough to continue to build around Wemby for the future. That should be plenty for the Heat to get in return for an aging star who may be playing his final season in Miami anyway. And for the Spurs, they've already shown a willingness to add veteran experience to the roster as they did with Chris Paul this offseason. And let's face it, Wemby is ready to make playoff pushes right now, and adding a guy like Jimmy would perfectly complement his skills on the court. And this is just what Jimmy does. He's provided a noticeable boost to every team he's joined. The Heat hadn't advanced to the conference finals since LeBron's Big Three era, before he got there and took them to 3 in the first 4 years. And in Minnesota, the Timberwolves missed the playoffs for 13 straight seasons before he took them to the postseason in his first year there. He's a major contributor wherever he goes, and this situation would be no different. And you add in Chris Paul, who is a point god, and is already going to provide a major boost, and that's a scary team on both ends of the court. And if your qualm with this is why would the Spurs trade a bunch of young guys for one old guy who doesn't match Wemby's timeline, I hear you. But the Spurs would still have Devin Vassell, Stephon Castle, and plenty of draft picks to continue to build the team. And in the short term, you'll have 2 vets who can maximize Wemby's potential on a quicker timeline and get him to the postseason experience that will help throughout his whole career. I mean, just look at how that's worked out for the Celtics. Their core has been going deep into the postseason for years, and we just saw how equipped they are to handle the pressure while still just entering their primes. So if the Spurs and Heat can agree on the picks in this trade, I think it's a big win for both squads. But most importantly, it's a win for all of us NBA fans because Wemby is one of the best shows on television, and this would only add to his spotlight as the future of the face of the NBA. So Pat Riley, get on the phone now and do us all a favor. Send Jimmy to San Antonio, and let's see what he can do with that type of talent under a legendary head coach. And JB isn't the only Miami athlete who has speculation about leaving his team in the near future. For more on why Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa may not be able to give up the game of football all that easily despite his recurring head injuries, check out this past episode of Point of View. And the moment you've been waiting for, here's the answer to today's trivia question. We appreciate you tuning in. We will see you in the next one.